XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Dayone, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support. Hello friends, and welcome to XboxEra Headlines. I'm slightly late, and it's May 16th, 2024. Jesse and I are here to talk you through all of the latest in gaming news from across the industry, but as a bonus for our wonderful, brilliant, harmonious patrons, they get access to audio versions of these episodes exclusively for use in the Patreon app. But if they're on Spotify, they can link their accounts and listen to it there. Hi Jesse, how are you?
Good. It's been a pretty quiet morning overall. I've gotten like 75 emails, but all of them are just like tiny little indie things that...
Yeah.
There was a couple, like Horizon Chase Turbo's coming, so Fairy Empire's happy because he likes that little racing game. Other than that, mostly just trying to look for and maybe find some things to do SEO on. That's about it. It's been pretty slow. I'm not reviewing anything, so... Well, I am, but it's Hypercharge Inbox, which doesn't come out to the 30th, so I've got plenty of time.
You got plenty of time. You're not rushing.
I might be coming through your other earphone. I don't know if you lowered it.
I've noticed and already lowered it down, so you're all good. All good, ladies and gentlemen. I apologise for being late. I had to do my hair because I had a big headphone band here because I was listening to music.
I did mine.
So, you've removed the neck beard.
Well, that was always gone, but,
You've gone goatee style instead.
I was going to do a big-ass mustache, but Amanda wouldn't have it. I've never had a mustache my entire life. Like, just a mustache.
I feel like you could handle a really good handlebar mustache. Yeah, like, you've got the colour and the shape for it.
See, my goatee looks off, though. Brown, grey. So it looks like it's off.
For anyone new to XboxEra...
We're all old.
We often go on tangents. I can see there's a new sub in the chat, so still don't know who's who. John, Jesse, the two full timers of XboxEra. Mostly because our patron is still glorious, but
I mean, I can add the nameplates. I just didn't,
it's been so long for the newbies.
Sick nameplate. There is also a new sub if you wanted to. Scroll up a bit, you will see somebody who renewed their sub and left a message.
Well, I'll do that. Well, I mean, I would do that if it. Why won't it let me scroll up further than that? I'm having issues with scrolling in things today. It's because there's a pinned message.
There you go.
Let me go to.
There's Sick Mechanico nameplate.
Peter Bonta, member for 18 months. Wow. Normally a lurker because I don't recognise the name. Spending a 2-week-long vacation so I can watch my favourite news show live.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Spank you on the butt.
Charming. But that's true. It is a news show, and we're here to talk about all of the news. And I think that we should start with Assassin's Creed Shadows because, good golly gosh, that actually looks rather good, doesn't it?
People are getting very mad. Because
what about now?
Yasuke being a protagonist.
Oh, well, the fact that no one even knows if he's really a samurai and he's
it was like he was it's
or he's Japanese.
it's
or
funny.
Not, or...
It's so like the original Neo had a white guy as the main character. No one complained. Assassin's Creed games have never been lore accurate. Leonardo da Vinci did not make a bunch of assassination tools for a guy named Ezio.
What?
I know.
What? Why are people getting annoyed about stuff like this?
It's, well, people, I know some people are like, well, I just wanted to play as a Japanese person. It's like, well, there is. The other character is. So you wanted to play strictly as a Japanese male. If you say that, then fine, whatever, but that's not the game. There is 2 protagonists. It looks incredible. We've only gotten a CGI trailer, but we have gotten a lot of, like, Ubisoft talking about what the game is. So Yasuke being the samurai, more fighty. And then, I forget the female character's name because it wasn't as memorable.
No.
We're very Western. She is a ninja. She is, or is she a shinobi? I don't remember. I should have read it more.
Shinobi.
Yeah, she's a shinobi.
No, she's a shinobi.
Yeah, so she is all about stealth. Like her stuff. If you're in the I want to do the stealthy insta kill Assassin's Creed stuff, she is the way to go. If you want to, just it sounded like someone was saying there might be proning, like actually getting down and doing like this sounds like
there's a lot of Splinter Cell references
difference
in some of the description, like turning off lights and using shadow, and I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm in.
Like the complaints about Yasuke and stuff are kind of the reason why you ignore most people when they do this, because then they feel like they've got a leg to stand on now and they can just go after everything and make a buck. But yeah, for the most part, this game is the setting everyone wanted because it just works really cool with the Assassin's Creed lore and games setup and everything. And yeah, this game sounds incredible. Ubisoft normally love us, so I cannot wait to review it and maybe get extra codes for people because it looks so good.
I'd play this one. So it's set in feudal Japan, and I know that there are people like, there is no such thing as feudal Japan.
Yeah, that guy was so mad
It's at the end of the Sengoku era, in the turning point of Japanese history. So they're trying to show real historical figures along the way. But yes, it's an open world Assassin's Creed game in Japan. But fans have been clamoring for this for ages. So I'm in.
Yeah, they said it's more Assassin's Creed Origins, which is a game you could easily mainline in 20 to 25 hours if you really wanted to. So not Valhalla's 60 to 90 hours for most people. No eagle vision, which is going to be very different. You don't have your little bird drone. Instead, you're back to having the Isu power to do your own vision, where it just pops out and you can see people around you, but it's on a cooldown. So we haven't had that since Syndicate, I think. That was the last one. And then after that, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla were all eagle drones, because Ubisoft was really big into drone spotting for a while there. Far Cry, Ghost Recon, Assassin's Creed were all big on using essentially a drone to spot. So they'll be showing more gameplay at the Ubisoft Forward. I wouldn't be shocked if this one had Microsoft marketing. We never know. Yeah. It kind of bounces back and forth. They'll do one with Microsoft, one with PlayStation. Sometimes just with no one. It'll be with both, essentially. Rumors are November. So we'll see. Mm-hmm. Only rumors. It's Ubisoft, though. They leak like a sieve because they are too big. They have 20,000 people there. So a lot of people to know stuff and then just want to tell their friends, I guess.
I don't think it's rumor. It's an announced date.
Assassin's Creed
Shadows will arrive on Xbox Series X and S on November 15th.
Yeah, it was rumored.
How's that for a specific rumor?
Yeah, it was rumored the 15th, 2 days ago, probably because somebody saw some marketing material. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot you can pre-order it now, so it has a date.
Yeah. So see, Tom Henderson was paying attention. They have confirmed November 15th. So they're talking a lot about, like, if you look at some of the in-game screenshots, it looks very, very pretty. They've revamped their engine. I mean, they say Ubisoft say this all the time.
New gen.
But this is a next-gen only game. So
we've been in it for a while. It's not next.
I know. Okay. Current gen only game. So no cross-gen. Most beautiful Assassin's Creed to date. Yada yada yada. They've got a full year systemic cycle. So as well as real-time lighting and weather, it goes through seasons. I mean, that's pretty cool. So you can see, like, you can go through winter and spring and summer and so on. It's got a new lighting system, and they are still utilizing RPG systems. They look at what they did with Valhalla, Odyssey, Origin, and they're adding some new systems that will surprise players, but not revealing everything yet.
Good.
But yeah, really looking forward to this one. Like, I think November, and I don't know what else could possibly be coming out around then. Everything, it seems.
Yeah, everything, unfortunately. Hell of a year for Ubisoft after not having much big things for a while, or big years. But start the year off with Lost Crown, Prince of Persia, which is incredible. Then they've got the Rogue Prince of Persia coming in a couple weeks, which is only early access, but I really enjoyed what I've gotten to play of it. If you're into Dead Cells, it's one of those types, and it's really solid. Then they got Star Wars Outlaws in August, which looks great, and everything that Ubisoft Massive does, I friggin' love. They haven't missed. They even made me like an Avatar game, and I do not like Avatar.
Yeah, you don't like the movies at all. So
no, I hate them.
Unusual for you to
despise
enjoy that
them.
game.
Just don't like people who like them. I dislike those movies so much. But yeah, I know. But yeah, no. And then Assassin's Creed in November. It's a hell of a year. It's really spread out too. Oh yeah, and Skull and Skull and Bones.
Yeah, Skull and Bones. I mean, say what you want about Skull and Bones. Like
better
so
than
much
I thought
of
it would be.
So much of it should be rubbish. Kind of like
Some
I
of
don't
the
mean that in a
worst
disparaging
walking
way.
on land stuff. Like I don't.
It's so janky. But
it feels like original
systems,
Xbox walking on land. It's weird.
But it's just the grind systems that attracts people that like that next dopamine hit of the next thing, and then that's what they nailed really well, I think. The quadruple A game, according to I'm an idiot. Yeah. I hate to do this to you, I'm an idiot, but there's some irony there, and it should be, if you're going to say that, I'm an idiot. I'm just saying.
He's too much of an
maybe
idiot to know
maybe
that.
He's deliberately ironical.
But also, like the quadruple A game thing is more from what we've always been told. It's a developer term for when you're making a big game for the next set of hardware. It's like you're starting on it in one gen, but it's meant for the next gen type of thing.
Well,
got a super chat.
Before we get into other subjects, yes, we've got a super chat from the wonderful Tiberius Monk, who says, top of the morning, Sik and Jesse. This news of a shorter game in the Assassin's Creed Shadows is wonderful to hear. Also, Sik and Jesse are awesome. That is all. I mean, I don't disagree.
Like, it's Origins length, and Origins was only 2 games ago. And then Odyssey was a little longer than Origins. The one that was huge was Valhalla. Also, the most popular and best-selling one by far. So I know a lot of people are like, why don't they make them shorter and focus on stealth again? It's like, because Valhalla sold the best, bar none, by far. So they're like, wow, people really like this. So they're going to have games like Valhalla. But they want to have so many Assassin's Creed, they can't all be that. So they will have the smaller 15 studio games. They listed every Ubisoft studio that's working on this, and the list is like this friggin' long, even with a small font. It's ridiculous. Crazy. They have a lot of people.
It's crazy. I gave up on Valhalla. I spent like 60 hours in, and I was like, no, no more. I think what happened was I logged out, and I didn't play it for like the whole of 3
and those
months,
are impossible to come back to.
Yeah, and then I came back, and I was like, what was I doing? And then the game was like, hey, it's Christmas, and it changed a load of stuff and put a load of like Christmas stuff in the game, and I was like, what? And I just turned it off. I was like, no. But yes, there you go. In other news, many Xbox 360 titles are seeing some price reductions because, friendly reminder, public service announcement, the Xbox 360 store is closing forever. It's worth mentioning that that's the Xbox 360
the 360
digital
marketplace.
Storefront.
The one that was
on the 360.
Yeah, you only access it by going to games that are back compat in the Xbox store. Anything that aren't back compat, anything that is back compat brings you to the new store, and those are all staying up. It's just the things that are not backwards compatible you will not be able to buy once this store is closed.
Yeah, and you will be able to re-download them, etc., on an Xbox 360 if you've bought it already. But if you wanted to go buy something new, you're going to be out of luck. So the deadline is coming 29th of July this year.
Yeah, they've got sales now. They're going to have more sales next month, and then they're going to have more sales the following month before it all closes. And not even sales, it's just like a permanent price reduction because obviously it all ends at the end of July.
Yeah, and we're talking like 90%, 80% off.
It was at least 70.
It's not bad.
On most stuff, it was pretty good. So
yeah. Go check it out if you've still got a 360 plugged in and you really, really value your
like especially a 360 Elite, because that'll
titles.
actually last, unlike the Red Ring of Death ones.
Yeah. In other Xbox news, Hellblade 2 arrives next week. Its global release times have been revealed. So the game comes out on 21st of May, which is Tuesday. Depending upon where you are, that's 1 a.m. PST, 4 a.m. your time, Jesse, EST, 8 a.m. GMT. So for us folks in Europe, I guess for us in the UK, I don't know if that's BST or GMT. If that's GMT, I guess we're 7 a.m. or 9 a.m.
You're 9 a.m.
Which way around it is. And then 6 p.m. in Australia.
Yeah, global launch. Rumors have been flying, especially from the man in chat, Tom Henderson, that embargo will be right at launch because they don't want story spoilers. People have already pounced on that, saying, uh-oh, this game mustn't be that good, because people always conflate embargo timing with quality, and it doesn't matter. I've had games that were great and gave a launch time embargo. I've had games that were awful and gave a week ahead embargo, and I was actually thinking, what are you doing? And that because they ended up reviewing very poorly, and I don't think it helped at all to have such an early embargo.
Yeah.
But like a late embargo doesn't mean much. So much of it, I think, is it's a mix. Like they said, like we didn't have code yesterday morning. When you're that late, they also do try to give you more time. Like if there's not going to be a week or two, they tend to push the embargo back a little bit by default, just to give you more time with it. But also for this one, with it being a very short story experience, they don't want spoilers out. So, and yeah, Baldur's Gate did not have an embargo. It just simply didn't give any codes out until like a day or two before launch. So nobody had a review until about a week after launch, because that game is so big. And even then, you can read a lot of those reviews until they didn't get out of Act 1. Because Act 1, in good
this
shape.
is the best game ever. I've not finished the game.
Act 1's in good shape, but then you go into Act 2 and it's really broken. And then you go into Act 3 and it was barely playable at launch. They've fixed it up a fair amount since. But you could just tell from a lot of those reviews, they wanted to get it out and get it out first. I put 30 hours into this 140-hour game. I'm good. I'm like, no, you're not. But whatever.
Yeah. It's worth saying as well, a friend of XboxEra, Moro NL on Twitter, actually posted and said, I don't know where he's got this info from, but Moro's a nice guy. For those wondering about Hellblade 2 reviews, it's not because they aren't confident in the game. On the contrary, in fact, but it's to avoid story spoilers as much as possible.
I think Clawpole said the same thing.
You could read
too.
that as confident avoiding story spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
And there's the
funnily enough, he also points out Baldur's Gate 3 had no reviews.
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2 as well, if memory serves, was very, very, very close to launch.
Yeah, no, we got Alan Wake 2 or 3 days before launch, I think. And the embargo was right around there. And the install sizes are up. It's roughly 40 gigs on an Xbox Series X or S, and it's about 48 on PC. So not too huge, which tends to be the case if it's shorter and it's only digital, because they don't have to worry about disc stuff and all that and whatever. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, no one's getting a hold of this at a mum and pop store. But there you go. So Hellblade 2 Xbox PC players, it's coming out Tuesday next week. You can look forward, probably, hopefully, to more from us.
Yeah, we're in good standing with them. We should be all right. We should have coverage. We'll let you know once we. Well, we'll let you know by having it post, most likely. You're almost never allowed to say anything early.
Yeah, very rarely. In other Xbox news, look, and this is all nice news. This is all nice news today. I have got a little bit of bad news, but we'll get to that. Xbox Prodeus has been announced. What is that, you might be wondering, dear viewer, dear listener? Well, as part of Global Accessibility Awareness Day, I'm not sure how many days I can remember in my calendar year nowadays, but as we all know, Microsoft has often pushed for accessibility in games, in their products, in their everything that they make. And they've announced a new type of controller. This is called the Proteus controller, and it's designed. It's a kit, and it's got snap and play bits that kind of put together. It looks crazy, and I'm very curious about how it all actually works.
It's pretty much. So it looks like all these are contact pads. The contact pad can then read what the piece is, and so you can have it set up to work to help with what your disability may be. So like if you've got one hand that works really well and it can get a bunch more, your other hand can maybe only do a little bit, or you just only flat out have one hand, or you have to use your feet or something, you can shape it to match. Because I know a lot of people are like $300, and I'm like, they're normally small batch items, so I bet you they're not making anything off of these. Like this probably costs about $300 to make and ship. But the DIY solutions can be like $3,000 because you had to get a bunch of shit and solder it yourself and figure out all these things that can work with you. So the point of something like this is it invariably can be a lot cheaper if it matches the type of things you need for your, specific setup that allows you to be able to play anything. So it's a very different, it's not even a market that they're looking at. It's an area that needs help. So
yeah, I love it. I love all the more people that can play games, the better in my book. So very happy.
Because you might not be able to do the tactile move a stick, so you just need to try and get everything on a D-pad, or you can and then have the D-pad read as a stick, or you can maybe just hit buttons, so you get a lot of button presses and stuff like that, and it lets you completely reconfigure everything to match whatever your setup is, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. In other Xbox news, the May update is here. This is here for all users, so not just on the Insider Ring. It contains improvements to the touch and small screen experience.
You just said the May update is here. You didn't say what it was for.
I said in other Xbox news. I presume people would put together the May Xbox update.
Oh,
for the.
I didn't even know that was in the. I didn't even put that in the news. That's why
I'm ad-libbing.
Oh, that's
I'm
dangerous.
Ad-libbing. Sorry. This is for the Xbox app. So there's improvements to touch and small screen experiences, keyboard and mouse support for select games on xCloud, and a new Hellblade 2 channel on the Xbox app.
Yeah, when you load it, you get a big Hellblade 2 splash screen now.
It's got a vibe now on the Xbox app. It's definitely got a vibe. It's very nice.
Why pushing controllers? What? Connor Garrity in chat said, why pushing controllers? I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
It's an accessibility
Maybe he
controller.
will clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. We're not pushing it. We're just mentioning that it exists. News. There's another update out. And more updates as well. Starfield has got its 60 FPS update out. Now, I happen to know that you streamed this as soon as it went live.
I did.
The video was done surprisingly well as well. Is it good? You tell me.
So there's a bunch of modes. You can go from... you can see it here. When... oh, damn, I'm not going to display. I am. So frame rate target... or prioritize. You can choose 30, 40, 60. 40 is only available if you're on 120 hertz display. And then you can prioritize performance, or you can prioritize visuals. I ended up going with 40 in visuals just because of how good the lighting is. That's the main difference for console players on Series X, where you can actually try and push higher frame rates. It's not going to be anywhere near a locked 60, even on performance mode, which is why it wasn't there at launch. It's essentially, if you have a VRR display, in most areas, especially outside of main cities like Jemison, you might drop down to 30 pretty often because it's so CPU intensive. But like, you can now play this game the majority of the time when you're out in space or doing missions in certain areas, roughly around 60 FPS. If you want, there's also an uncapped mode where it can go well above 60 FPS if you're in an area that's not intensive at all, which is really cool. Depending on how good your VRR is, especially if you've got the lower VRR, I didn't notice anything. It just felt great. The compensation, it never dropped hard enough where it was like, oh, I can feel that stutter really bad outside of Jemison. The maps, which I remember seeing Paul Tassi make fun of, like, wow, that certainly is a map. And I'm like, Paul, I promise, if you actually use the map, they might be the best 3D maps I have ever seen in any game. And they are
definitely spent some time on them for, like,
they are for everything. Everywhere you go gets a fully rendered 3D map. So however they're rendering the terrain and the buildings, it renders this lower quality version of everything in a map that you can go over. I don't know if I ever freaking look at one in this footage, but goddamn, it looks unbelievable. Yeah, here it is. Like the so all these maps, no matter where you are, the entire play area you have becomes
you can see the tiles as well.
Yeah. And that's everything really gets smart. It. When you're inside of certain places, you get a full 3D print layout map, like you're in a friggin' Doom game or something. All the options you can do for changing all the game settings, like how much damage you do, how much damage you take for on the ground or in the ship, how much carry capacity you have. Never worry about encumbrance again, because you can now carry 1,200 pounds. Like you can make things harder. Because if you make them easier, you get less experience. If you make them harder, you gain more experience. So it's that give and take. You can make it a full-on survival game where you've got to actually worry about afflictions and radiation and space and all these different things. And you got to have the right stuff, the right gear set up to avoid those, or the things that heal from them, because you won't heal over time. Man, it is a... And if you haven't played since Update 2 a couple months ago, the work they did on the lighting system, it was already good, but now it is legitimately one of the best looking lighting and physics systems I've ever seen. Like the material quality was always there, but now the lighting matches it better. And also, this is mid-conversation. As you can see, I'm just in third person. You can have it not zoom in on a face. You can just have it stay back or in your first person perspective while you talk. So it just blocks there. You're in the conversation. You can move the camera around, too, while you're doing it. No problem. Yeah.
That's got to be lessons learned for the next Elder Scrolls as well, in terms of giving players the choice of, you want it traditional Bethesda style? Do you want it more in line with most RPGs? You know, how do you want us to do this? Like, I really love that it's giving the option.
Yeah. And also, like... One of the big things people have an issue with is all the loading in it, but it's specific to the way this game is built. Like their tile system can do a giant... Every level in this world is bigger than Skyrim's map. The difference is they're not looking to densely pack them, because it's supposed to be this huge thing and you're going all over the place all the time. But they can't have like... Seamless space travel wouldn't have worked because it's supposed to be realistic, so it would have been like 7-8 hours to get... Like, no matter, you would have to be going faster than the speed of light to ever get anywhere faster than a couple months. Like, if you're not folding space every time, which is just going to be a load screen anyways. Because it's not... whatever. But, yeah, no, really, really good patch. Man, my camera looks blown out on this friggin' video. I didn't realize. But
yeah,
I had everything up
in
way
the
too
sun.
High. I know. But yeah, really good patch. Runs great if you've got VRR. I know people even without it were like, yeah, this is perfectly playable if I'm doing 60 performance. So yeah. I was already a huge fan of the game, and now I think it is appreciably better.
Good. Well, there you go. So I think I'm also looking forward to Shattered Space. I think that's going to be the diving in point again for me, especially unless there's a quiet lull period between now and then, which I doubt. But yeah, really looking forward to diving back in. In other Xbox news, I did promise a small smidgen of not depends on which camp you're in, I guess. It's news. Jez Corden of Windows Central released a long opinion piece about Microsoft and its corporate behaviors and things like that. And the big bit that I bet he regrets typing, because everyone has leached onto this little snippet, is this. And that is that the plan to move Xbox games. This is a direct quote from Jez's piece over on Windows Central. I'll put a link in the chat so people can go and read it. If you haven't, you can see it there. The plan, says Jez, to move Xbox games to other platforms is codenamed Latitude internally. And I know there's debate and unease at Microsoft about whether or not this is a good idea. I think the community is telling you what it thinks of the idea. I get it.
Small part.
Business.
Tiny part of the community, unfortunately. I wish we were bigger.
It's the best idea. I don't think it's the best idea. I'm intrigued to see what happens.
I'm very curious. It's new. It's different. I don't know that it's going to work, but I am curious what their actual plan is because they've never said. It has only been leaks like this. Like I don't know what they're going to do. A lot of people keep saying, especially on the friggin' our Discord that come over from Nick's, are like, you're being defensive. I'm like, all I'm saying is I don't know. It might not work. That's logical for how the system has been since it started, essentially. But I can't say it won't because it's not like the current one's working well.
And I think that's the key point, right? And that's arguably why they're doing this at all, is because they've been doing the same thing for the last 12 years and it's not working. Now, I could also say Microsoft have made lots and lots of its own hurdles, which it's then tripped over. But to continue Jez's quote here, there's unease about Microsoft about whether or not this is a good idea. More upcoming Microsoft-owned games slated for PlayStation are already being developed. At least for now, they're potentially obvious games you'd most likely expect. And yes, while it's true Microsoft is a prolific publisher on PlayStation already, it is typically revolved around specific franchises like Minecraft. From what I've heard, Microsoft is pushing for this is the line Jez is like, I wish I'd never typed this. From what I've heard, Microsoft is pushing for no red line for what games could come to PlayStation. Now, he says Microsoft is pushing, but I think he specifically is referring to Satya Nadella and CFO Amy Hood.
Yeah.
The money people and the people that want the numbers to go brrr, and it's their mandate to increase every department's margins. Satya, Amy. This might not be the way to go.
So there's a thing.
Gaming is weird.
Yeah.
Gaming is weird.
The way gaming is set up is it is set up to be anti-consumer, and people lap it up and they just love it, and they're used to that. They grew up in the console wars of Sega and Nintendo, and they don't, and like the thought of, well, shit, if everything was everywhere, kind of like more stuff, it would be really good. And not like entertainment silos off more, but even there, you're seeing Disney and friggin' Warner Brothers and others going like, why are we always just keeping everything to ourselves forever? We can make so much goddamn money by licensing this shit out to Netflix again. We used to make a lot of money that way. Okay, let's do that. Because they're spending tons to make tons and then not having their own services grow to be Netflix, because none will. Yeah. Like, it's just this thing. There's always a market to take some stuff, and no matter the industry. Now, how much that ends up being in gaming is going to be like the big push and pull.
Yeah, if it were me and like I was just making a snap decision, I would come out, if I was big Papa Microsoft, I would come out and just be straight up and be like, here's what we're going to do. Everything we release is going to have a minimum of a year to 18 months exclusivity on Xbox consoles or Xbox hardware and PC. And after that point, yes, we will port to all other devices.
Unless it's like a live service. If it's like a big live service thing,
I think that's
more microtransaction focused. Those would make sense to always be
where it's
everywhere.
A community behind the game.
ZeniMax Online's next thing is probably everywhere. Let's
release it everywhere. Yeah. Now, interestingly, and I write this is now my writing, because obviously I covered this on XboxEra.com. Jez even mentions Halo in the article, which, I'm quoting myself here, which is sure to put die-hard Xbox fans in a right tizzy. I think the big problem they have with this push is 3 months ago, we had the executive leadership from Xbox out on stage going, it's only 4 games, it's just an experiment, don't worry. And it's like, this is, we're talking about trust recently over the last few weeks, and especially after the Tango Gameworks closures. And I get it. Executives, what's the line? Executives say what they need to say when they need to say it. And what's true in February may not be true now. But, that feels like, are you telling me you didn't know? Because if you suddenly pop up with a port of, I don't know, Halo Infinite, hey, look, boom, or Master Chief Collection, or Gears. You're telling me that you got that made in 4 months since February? If you announced it in June? Like, come on, guys. But yeah, the Halo trifecta, the idea of them coming to console is definitely sure to set people alight. But hey, opinion pieces being talked about as if they're reports. Interesting times. But there you go. Have fun with that, Jess. Much love to your brother. I know how he feels. Anyways, in other news, Polish regulators are investigating the PlayStation Store and Steam for anti-competitive practices. This comes via gamesindustry.biz, a byline by Sophie McAvoy. Poland's Office of Competition and Consumer Protection has launched a preliminary investigation into digital game platforms, including Steam and the PlayStation Store, for anti-competitive practices. The regulator revealed that an inspection has taken place at Sony's headquarters in Poland, in addition to 2 unnamed video game developers and publishers. Evidence collected will be investigated for signs of anti-competitive practices, such as prohibited agreements or abuse of a dominant position by providers of digital distribution platforms for video games. No idea what's going to come of that, but with the market now being, 70% digital now? You probably should keep an eye on that, regulators.
I was always curious.
People aren't being cheeky.
PlayStation just does not let companies sell digital codes of their games. They just don't. You can't. I was always curious if that would come to bite you in the ass. Because it is like the one big difference. Like you can do it pretty much anyone else. But them, nope. You are not allowed to sell our games digitally. It's only us that can ever do that. And it's like that.
Yeah.
That seems rough.
It's a bit odd. But there you go. More to come on that, I'm sure. In other news, God, we're churning through it today. The wonderfully fancy looking, and I am really looking forward to playing this one, Replaced, which was obviously delayed several times due to the war in Ukraine, is due out, according to a kind of earnings report from Thunderful, which is the publisher for Replaced, in the second half of 2024. This is really good news because I'm really, really looking forward to playing Replaced. I think this looks incredibly cool, and I want to play it.
Yeah, it was originally shown in 2021. So it's been a while, but there's been a little thing going on over in that part of the world.
A little thing.
So one can understand why it has taken longer. Thankfully, Thunderful tends to put out some good shit. So I'm feeling... We know it looks incredible. Like, it looks like that pixel 2D... really nice lighting on pixels is such a cool look because it wasn't something we ever got. So it feels, even though it's like this pixelated thing, the aesthetic on it and having lights that actually affect it, because it is all really 3D in nature, it looks so nice, especially when it's mixed with a cool style, really cool animations. Obviously, we have no idea how it's going to end up playing or anything like that, but just the initial vibe from this trailer was incredible. So I look forward to fighting you to the death over reviewing it, depending on timing and what else is out at the time and everything. So
I'll happily take a second code and do no work. It's fine. I don't mind.
You've learned what Nick knows. He's all about, can I get an extra code? And no, I'm not going to do anything with it. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I know. We'll have a fight. It depends. If they come out and... Okay. If I had to choose between this and the Plucky Squire...
That's the thing. There's going to be so much shit. Like we are going to have to juggle like madmen to try and cover it all.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts.
And we only get to do it thanks to our patrons, because reviews don't make any money. They don't.
That's true.
Sucks. So thank you, patrons.
It's worth mentioning. Reviews, as much as we love doing them and we think it's a valuable thing, we do it for the community, for the patrons, for our Discord, for the people that actually support us, because it doesn't actually do anything for us as a business, which XboxEra is slowly and surely becoming more of one. But as JB1521 says in the chat, Xbox's lineup this year is ridiculous, and I can't wait.
And I'm
right
really,
there with you.
What do they add in June? You know they're going to add stuff. They do all the time. Like, even if it's bringing older, bigger things into Game Pass. Like, if they throw any of the recent Call of Duties in there people haven't played, now 30 million more people have that to play. Like, there's just... I think we are extremely lucky that there are so many good games to play, no matter what platform you have. And yet no one cares, and they just list war all the time. Like, I get, like, when Mort is talking about, like, he's just worried because he prefers using this platform, and he really hopes it doesn't go away. That's the concern I get. So much of the other stuff is just, well, I can't have this game to say only I can play it, and you can't. Warring from other people as you're killing yourself. See, this is why people shouldn't vape. You almost died.
Mate, I did actually almost die because, if there's anyone vaping, anyone that vapes watching or perhaps listening, I just vaped a nice empty tank. So I just got a lungful of not very pleasant tasting cotton. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, people. I'm lucky I was muted because I died a little bit just then. Sorry about that. But yeah, you're right. You're right. There is so much incredible stuff to play. And I think, we've got Microsoft effectively starting on Tuesday next week with their run through now.
That'll be the main thing for our show. We know the game will be out by then. So the game comes out 6 hours before showtime. So we'll be...
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, should we maybe make... Well, it'll be Hellblade 2 themed, the next episode of Headlines.
That'll be the thing. Hellblade 2, the game will be out, so reviews should be out. So we'll just be Hellblade 2 review. Hellblade 2 is out, and then we can update it if the reviews suck or are good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay, then if we look at gaming across the globe,
not going well,
focus
Bob.
in a little bit. That's right, Steve. GamesIndustry.biz.
Not just Xbox. In fact, it's everything that isn't Nintendo, because Nintendo's got their costs under control.
Sucks. Yeah, so if we're focusing in on Europe, this is a byline by Chris Dring, head of games B2B at GamesIndustry.biz. PC and console games sales fall in Europe over April as major releases dry up. So European monthly charts. Interesting side note on this is the one game that was leading the way was one that is super old, which is Fallout 4, is number one. How crazy is
funny.
that?
Everyone's like, oh, well, you should go to New Vegas. It's like, no, people are going to want to play the newest one. As fun and beautifully written and hilarious as New Vegas is, it plays like shit. It doesn't play well. It plays like Fallout 3, and Fallout 3 did not play great. Fallout 4 plays very well now. Especially at the higher frame rates. The second next-gen update hit fixed most of, if not all, the problems. But yeah, it's very much gaming is trending down. That is why you are seeing every single publisher that's not in Japan firing people and closing studios. I don't know if there are any left that have not. Every single one has. It's why I get that Arcane Austin and Tango were bigger and more beloved by critics and fans, but it wasn't different that Xbox shut them down. It was just more Xbox admitting they're not immune from trying to cut costs and just say, bye-bye, people, like all corporations do. I mean, Microsoft has fired how many thousands of people the last couple of years? It all sucks.
Sucky timing, for sure. I think, you add that to the optics of it, and
it's just it looks awful because
symbolized,
especially because I don't think, just looking at it, I don't think Hi-Fi Rush had anything to do with it. I think it was timing. No. They didn't have anything in the works, even a year plus after shipping, and most of their big games didn't. 2 of their 3 big games didn't do well. Evil Within did very well. Evil Within 2 did not, and Ghostwire Tokyo did not. But then Hi-Fi Rush did well. So people are like, well, Hi-Fi Rush must have done terribly. It was like, no, I think it was the mix of that timing, all this, and then you look at the European numbers, you look at the UK numbers, you look at the American numbers that Matt Piscatella has gone over 1 million times. Like, everyone's making more money than ever, and it's not enough. And that's what really sucks. Like, they can all afford this. The only ones who can't are Embracer, essentially. Embracer were the ones who had to fire and sell things off because they sucked at figuring out how business works. The rest could all afford it, but because things have stagnated or started to go down, investment dries up. Even if it's within a gigantic publisher, investment dries up.
Yeah. But there you go. The top 10 from the European GSD April 2024 top 10 digital and physical chart is Fallout 4 at number 1, EA Sports, which narrowly apparently beat Helldivers 2 at number 3. And then, it's pretty much stalwarts all the way. We've got Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead 2, COD Modern Warfare 3, Fallout 76 sneaking in at number 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Stellar Blade, obviously new from Sony there, and Fallout New Vegas. So, I mean, in some ways, Microsoft have got to be super pleased that 1, 2, 3 of that franchise's games are in the top 10 across Europe, thanks to a TV show winning.
Especially when New Vegas is only PC and Xbox backwards compatibility. So,
it's quite impressive, considering, no one in Europe buys an Xbox, but there you go. But yes, nutshell, the market's in a pretty rough spot still, and expect it to last all year long. Like, it would take a economic miracle to reverse this stuff. And
survive to 25 is what Piscatella's been saying, and even then he's like, I don't know. It's really bad.
It is really, really bad. In other news, Entoria, The Last Song, which is a new game, Souls-like.
From Italy.
From Giamma Games, based out of Italy, has been delayed to September 19th. But the good news is the Xbox version is coming back on that same day.
It wasn't canceled. It was delayed, and they weren't sure when they'd be able to do it. But now it sounds like they figured it all out. I think it's about a month delay, 3 weeks-ish, if memory serves, maybe a month. But
it was meant to be August 21st.
Yeah, so roughly a month, and very pretty-looking Souls-like. So if you're not into Souls-likes, not for you. I am. So there you go.
You're a big fan.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll wait for your verdict, but it's not my jam. It is getting a demo when it launches across PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC, Steam, and Epic. But the demo is 8 hours, but it's only going to launch on PS5 and PC. So maybe wait for Jesse's review before you dive in if you're not so sure. But,
depending on the timing, who knows who it'll end up being? Because there might be 8 billion things, and it's impossible to cover it all. You never know.
Yeah. I think we're gonna struggle this year. I think this is the first year where we're gonna be like, this is impossible. There's too much.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And lastly, speaking of it's just too much, we can't do it anymore. Ubisoft snuck it into their earnings report as they were revealing Assassin's Creed Shadows that they have cancelled the follow-up to The Division 2, which is The Division Heartland. It's no longer happening. It's been in development for years as well.
Yeah, so, it was originally a Battle Royale mode for The Division 2. And then Ubisoft wanted to make it something bigger and bigger and bigger. And 5 years later, they've canceled it because instead of just being this basic, fun little mode for a game that has actually done very well over time, it just turned into this, what even is this game? Eventually, it was like a survival mode, and then it was back to a battle royale, and then it was just kind of more of a free-to-play Division game again. And yeah, they killed that one. The people that were working on it were like, yeah, it was a really fun battle royale mode. It should have just come out 4 years ago like that. Instead, they wasted everyone's... Well, people got paid, but they wasted a lot of their own money building it into nothing in the end, which sucks because the Division's great, and I was interested to see what this one would have been. Sad.
This is the way of the world. But that is honestly, there's minor bits and pieces here and there, but that's honestly most of the news. I think everyone, certainly on the Xbox side of the fence at the moment, is just waiting for Tuesday
furious about the lack of marketing for Hellblade
to arrive. It's got plenty of marketing. It's just not marketing.
I don't know if you saw So Kind of Funny Games interviewed studio head for Ninja Theory yesterday, and one of the questions was directly, "What's up with the marketing?" And I'm like, for tech, anything tech, they don't do billboards and TV anymore because they realize they don't work for their audience. most people aren't watching TV, so TV ads don't do anything. Older people watch TV, but they're not buying games or tech that much. It's very, so you can, none of us are marketing people. I trust the marketing people who it's their entire friggin' life to try and figure this shit out. And the companies are getting bigger and bigger and making more and more money, so they probably know what they're doing. They target social media. They target Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, a little bit of Facebook. Their main things,
website takeovers.
Website takeovers that are tech websites. Like IGN makes a ton of money from having their website take. It'll probably look like Hellblade next week, especially around Tuesday. Also, the best time to market your game is when it's available. Wait, the moment it comes out is when your marketing takes off, because people can go and play it instead of being like, oh shit, that's coming out in 3 months. I can't wait to, and then they forget about it. Like,
I've never understood it. And like, I can see someone in the chat saying, where's the real life video like Starfield got? There's a massive difference in scope and scale here, for one. We'll have more to say on Tuesday.
Yeah, like Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory's biggest strength is not going over the board in scope and price. Like, if you want to know how do the tickling AAA games survive, it's by keeping their costs down. Like that's one of the main things, and one of the most expensive. Like you can have a big TV show that's got $100 million budget, but then they spend $100 million on marketing. That's why it feels so much bigger, because it's everywhere, because they spend the budget again on marketing. Like the Marvel's movie lost money despite making like $200-300 million and costing roughly that for production, because they probably spent like $100 million again on marketing.
What was it? The Monopoly game, Monopoly
Go.
Digital one.
They've spent like $1 billion on marketing, but they've made it back. But it's very. Have you seen any marketing for Monopoly Go? They've spent $1 billion on it, but it's incredibly targeted at specific people, like especially older people who might have money in their back pockets and remember Monopoly because they're old, and that's one of the things I grew up with. Like everything has a specific place and time and feeling to how they market it, and it's always anecdotal for you. Like, oh, I haven't seen anything, so they haven't done it. Like, no, that's anecdotal.
Yeah. I think the worst thing of to close this subject, Ursula in the chat, Hellblade already looks like real life though. Fair. But I think the worst thing I saw of the Dom from Ninja Theory appearing on Kind of Funny was out of nowhere. Like, and I don't know. Is Kind of Funny a journalistic outlet, or are they
want to be
entertainment? Right? Because it felt like Greg, and I don't know Greg, I've never met Greg, I've never interacted with Greg. He put on a journalist hat and asked a guy who was not there to comment on that particular topic, asked him outright, how do you feel about these studio closures then? They're not there to talk about that. They're there to talk about the new game. That's probably the agreement that they made in terms of coming on the show. And that poor guy was just like,
3 seconds of silence and then a stutter. You can tell like that wasn't something
on the list of questions.
And I don't think Paris didn't look very happy, because he had said before the show on Resetera, I don't know why anyone would go there, but he said it on that lovely forum that no, we're not going to ask that question. Essentially, like, why would we? It's nothing to do with him. He's not an executive that would make that decision. And I saw Gene Park, who I really liked when he was on the show, but he was in the comments saying, you asked nothing wrong. And I'm like, Gene, I politely disagree, because I just don't see I don't see the value in asking someone that. It's one of those things I've never gotten in journalism where it's like, well, you got to ask the tough questions, even if you know you're not going to get a good answer. And it's like, if you know you're not going to get a good answer, what is the value to it? Like, you're looking to get, there are things you can ask in ways that will get a good answer, but asking that question in that way is not going to, it's like a 0.1% chance to get any.
I'm all for asking the tricky questions, but I would not be asking it of a guy whose job it is not to fire or hire studio people. Mm-hmm. He is there to promote the release of his studio's game, and that's it. It's nothing to do with him. So I'm all for asking the tough questions, but you ask those tough questions when you've got Satcher or Phil
or someone big at
Amy
Bethesda, like someone who's part of that publishing arm that would make that decision.
That's who answers
if
that
Pete
question.
Hines was still there and you were interviewing Pete Hines, you would definitely grill him about it. Like there are times and people who can actually answer it. Like I don't know what a studio head. If you have Tim Schafer on, you can ask him. Like, what is he going to say? It's like he might say it sucks and people getting fired sucks, but I mean,
can you imagine if like in another world? Imagine in another world, like if we were more multi-platform focused as an outlet, and we had Insomniac on, and it was at the peak of their hack, and I just blurted out with like, according to all this stuff, like you guys are firing a load of people soon. And they're just there to promote a game, and it's just it's not the studio head, it's like the game director.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, so who you firing? Can you imagine how awkward that would be? I just wouldn't do it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I disagreed with that. That's not cool. Poor Dom. Dom, if you want to come on XboxEra, if anyone from Microsoft's watching, we'll do a more casual chat. As a fellow Brit, I've got you, bro. But anyway, there you go. That is all of the news, and we're just coming up on the hour, which means it's time to say goodbye. The only thing I would ask from you, dear viewer, is to just swipe across on your phone and hit that like button if you would be so kind. If you're not subscribed and you've enjoyed this little breakdown of all of the news in gaming over the last couple of days, hit that subscribe button. It ain't going to cost you nothing, and you just get more great things delivered to you for free. But if you really love what we do and you don't want to have it for free, you're like, this is so good, I feel I have to pay for it, head to patreon.com/XboxEra, where for the cost of a cup of coffee a month, you get loads of extra cool shit.
If we could convert
and secret access to secret things.
1/10 of our YouTube subscribers to $3 a month, we would be able to hire more people. We would be able to, you could have Nick doing Nintendo era. You could have, you would have so much more from us, especially being able to focus more on the Patreon because it wouldn't be, let's write 8 billion articles a day to make ad money.
I would make this pledge right now that if we had 1,000 Patreon subscribers, I would task Nick. He could go off and host his own Nintendo era podcast. He could just go. He get 1,000. That's it.
We're going to lose
the day that happens. Nick can go off and do that, but we'll never get there because no one wants that. No one wants it apart from Nick. And on that note, we're gonna leave you there. We'll be back on Saturday, except me, because apparently I just don't have to do the podcast anymore. It's not that I don't want to. I didn't know I wasn't going to not be doing the podcast, but my partner reached out to Jesse and Nick and said, hey, I've organised something for John for his birthday because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, another year approaches. I'm turning 40. I'm not happy about it this weekend. But I will be back with Jesse for headlines on Tuesday.
Hellblade lines.
Where it'll be all about Hellblade. We'll be talking about Hellblade. And obviously, keep an eye on XboxEra.com as that time approaches. And much love to everybody. We'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.